in Philadelphia, WWTV's Kurt Homer.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear us?
Yeah.
Welcome to Beth. If you are in the synagogue this morning, you can see that I'm a little shook up.
That's nice.
It is, yes, I haven't had that much religion since my bar mitzvah. It's always a pleasure to see people in person that listen to you behind the microphone. You sit in the confines of a little studio, and you don't realize how many people actually listen to what you have to say, and for that I'm grateful. The broadcasting industry has been very good to me. There's no heavy lifting involved, and I thank all of you for your interest. The last time that I had the pleasure of introducing our special guest tonight, Rabbi Meir Kahane, the situation in the world was not as bad as it is today. Saddam Hussein was still trying to figure out why he was still alive. The Intifada, although it was still going on, did not have the support of Saddam Hussein. And in just a short period of time, the entire Middle East has turned into one cauldron of daily and almost every minute a change of attitude. And once again, the Jews of the world are caught up in one word, and that is survival. How the Jews are going to survive this in Israel, I don't know. It's very comfortable living in Bucks County to condemn Israel for what occurred at the Wailing Wall. But I don't live there. The Western Wall. That's the Western Wall, thank you. And while we sit here in America, we don't have the answer to the problem of Israel. The other side of the story that is not heard is the side of Meir Kahane. We read the establishment press, we read CNN, we watch CNN, we watch ABC and CBS and NBC, and I guess it's still the old Jewish guilt. It's ingrained in us that if, God forbid, we should defend ourselves, that it's a shyness to the neighbors. Well, it's all right to be concerned about the neighbors if the neighbors are friendly. But when the neighbors are out to destroy you and make no bones about it, it's not such a great disgrace to defend yourself. Rabbi Meir Kahane has asked anyone from the quote establishment to debate him this evening on the issues, not on personalities, and to the best of my knowledge, no one has accepted. But after the rabbi is finished speaking, if anyone in the audience would like to come up here, be treated with respect. You may have a different opinion than Rabbi Kahane. We will conduct the debate here after the rabbi finishes. You'll be protected. You can disagree with the rabbi, you can disagree with me, and we can assure you that we'll leave here as Jews who are concerned about survival. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure and a great honor to introduce to you Rabbi Meir Kahane.
Originally, this had been planned as a debate. But they did not show up. And I didn't expect them to show up. Because it is easier to defame and to call names than to have to debate defend the position. Not one of these rabbis would deny a pulpit to a moderate Arab or to Jesse Jackson. Not one of them. But they deny a pulpit to a rabbi who wants to say the things that have to be said because I don't know what will happen if we don't listen and act upon the things that I say. Some 2,500 years ago, the prophet Isaiah stood in Jerusalem. And he said the following words. For it is a rebellious people, children who will not hear the law of the Lord, who say to the seers, see not, and to the visionaries, envision not unto us, speak unto us smoothly, and vision to see. I don't want to speak to you of smooth things, and of happy things, and of deceitful things. I haven't come here this evening to speak against the UN, how easy it is to speak against the UN. What is the UN? The UN is dandruff. You brush it away. What is the UN? That is our problem, the UN. How easy it is to speak about our Gentile enemies, and then everyone will, of course, love you. That's not our problem. There is no Arab problem today in Israel. There's only a Jewish problem. But we were the kind of Jews that we should be. And if we acted the way that we should act, there would not only be no Arab problem, there would be no Arabs in Israel. You think that the UN is our problem, or the Arabs are our problem? There was a painful story that appeared 2 weeks ago in the Jerusalem Post. The United Jewish Appeal Mission shy away from the war. The United Jewish Appeal has taken the Western Wall off its itinerary. Moreover, the UJA has moved its groups out of the Hyatt Regency Hotel in East Jerusalem and into hotels in the western half of the city as part of a policy to curb activities over the Green Line. And what do you want from George Bush? What do we want from George Bush? What do we want from James Acres? But the United Jewish Appeal moved Jews out of East Jerusalem because it's over the Green Line. UJA Vice President Raphael Rothstein confirmed by phone from New York last night that the mission has been moved. And why, he said? Because we have, quote, a certain legal responsibility toward the State Department advisory concerning East Jerusalem. Can you believe it? Believe it! These are your leaders. These are the people that run the establishment. When Dr. Rabbi, my foreign minister, came back 2 weeks ago from America, and he said, we got $400 million in guarantees from America. It's true. And in return, he signed a letter to his friend James Beth, in which he stated that Israel will not settle with Soviet immigrants in any area that was not under Israeli sovereignty before June 5th, 1967. You know what that means? That means East Jerusalem. Have we gone mad? Have we gone insane? We recognize the green light. There is no Arab problem. There's a Jewish problem. I knew the family of the policeman, one of the 3 Jews murdered last Sunday in Jerusalem. He was a policeman who, as he was attacked by an Arab, followed orders. He first shot in the air, then shot at his leg, and never was able to shoot the 3rd time as he died. You think that we're normal? You think that we are normal? In any normal country, an Arab, anyone, attacks you with a knife, you shoot in the air. In what air? In his blood. That's what you shoot. What has happened to you? Do you think it is moral to shoot in the air? I spoke here in the city just a very, very short while ago. It was in May, June. I told you all those orders. I said that those are the orders. And I'm sure half of the orders said, no, he exaggerates a bit. I don't know. Not a bit. Not those are the orders which our soldiers have to follow. What do we expect of the soldiers? That placed them in the impossible position. If they follow those orders, they place their lives in danger. If they don't follow the orders, they're put on trial. Just 2 weeks ago, 4 soldiers of one of the elite brigades, Emeth, were found guilty for overreacting. What do we expect from our soldiers? In December, we will have finished the 3rd year of the Intifada. 3 years of the Intifada. 3 years. The same Israeli army, which in 1967, in 6 days, crushed 4 Arab armies, we're into our 3rd year against rebels. The worst thing is, they lied to us. They lied to us. The Jewish leaders in Israel lied to us. March 24th, 1988, Haaretz, one of the leading papers in Israel, carried the following headline, I'll translate. A statement by the then Minister of Defense, Rabbi. We are beginning to feel weariness among the residents of the territory. March 24th, 1988, 2.5 years ago, we begin to feel weariness. 2 months later, May 2nd, 1988, the Chief of Staff, Shomron, this is from the JTA bulletin. General Dan Shomron, the IDF Chief of Staff, made an upbeat assessment of the situation in the territory. Shomron maintained that the Palestinians have had enough. They've had enough. May 2nd, 1988. It is Rosh Hashanah message on September 11, 1988, 2 years ago. Meir said, Intifada Tufusal Bakarov. The Intifada will soon be eliminated. That was on September 11, 1988. Soon. December 9, 1988, the longest running Intifada in the world was not him, but he told a group of obsessives from Tekoa and Shomron that Israel was supposed to bring the Intifada to an end. It was close. It was close. December 88. July 16, 1989, the longest running death in the Guinness Book of Records was still going on. And the Prime Minister told settlers, Intifada, that the Intifada is extinguished. Sometimes it's coming to an end, sometimes it's extinguishing. And now it's 1990, the end of 1990. They're not tired, it's not extinguishing, it's not coming to its end. It's stronger than it has ever been. And this time it has entered the green line. It has entered the state of Israel itself. Do you know where those 3 Jews were murdered? You know where Baka is? Baka is a neighborhood inside Jerusalem. Not in the territories, it's not Shechem, Hebron. It's a quiet neighborhood inside Yerushalayim. There Kahane walks up. Kahane walks up and down the block and kills 3 Jews. The Torah, there's a law, a commandment, that if we find the body of a murdered Jew, and we do not know who the murderer is, we measure to the nearest town, the nearest city. And then the elders, the rabbis of that city have to come out. The elders, the distinguished elders, the scholars, the rabbis, they have to come out to where the body is, and they make an announcement. And they say, Yadeinu lo shafku et adam hazeh. Our hand did not shed his blood. We didn't do it. The rabbi, when he told me asked the obvious question, did anyone then suspect that? Why the statement? Did anyone think that the rabbi did it? Why the statement? And they answer, what they mean by that statement is that we did everything in our power to ensure that this Jew would not be murdered. We did everything possible. You think that the young can say that we did everything possible to ensure that? Every Jew who for the last 20 years when I have been saying, throw them out. Every Jew that has said, that's not nice, that's not right, that's not moral. And because of that, the Arab state and murdered Jews, that Jew is a partner in the death of every Jew that died because of his morality. So people come to me and say, but aren't you any good at it? Yes. Every Arab who ever murdered a Jew, until a minute before he murdered him, was a good Arab. So when I hear from baffling Jewish leaders, we should only throw out the ones that murdered Jews. I love Jews too much. I would rather throw them all out before they murdered Jews. As of the 1st of October, 360 automobiles, Jewish automobiles, were burned in Jerusalem this year. 360. Better than 1.5. Bus 25, which travels to Neve Yaakov, the suburb of Jerusalem, no longer travels its regular route, short up. It now takes a roundabout way through Pisgat Zeh. You know why? Because every bus is stoned by a car. Now, normal people would ensure that the bus would not be fired. We moved the bus. And guess what happened 2 days after it was moved? They'll fire up again on the new roof. It's like, don't even show. Except that it's not funny. It's tragic. For 1,800 years, we had a dream. Every Jew living in the exile, whether the exile was Russia or Morocco or Poland or Yemen, it was the same dream. The Jew lived in the exile said, someday we will leave the fear, the degradation, and someday we'll come home and have our own state. And this time live with never again in fear, and never again in shame, but walking tall and be able to walk free. Am Shiva saying, a free people in his own land. No? God's help me understand. And there's no fear? There's no fear. There's no fear. Jews are afraid today to walk in Jerusalem. Jews are afraid to go to the wall. Jews are afraid to walk through the shul, the Arab marketplace. When I call the Jewish development in Brooklyn, because Jews were afraid to live in Brooklyn, which is understandable. Never did I dream in a million years that I would come to Israel and find Brooklyn. That's the shame, not the humiliation. That if a Jewish child is late by half an hour, panic breaks down. Hysteria breaks down. April, where is it? Neil there, who knows? Will I maybe our lead parents? That's how we believe in our country. And the Arabs, there's no fear. They walk everywhere, anywhere, anytime, morning or night. Who owns the country? This is the Jewish sovereign state. For this we dreamed, and for this we wept, and for this we hoped, and for this we prayed. For this? If I thought that there was nothing that we could do about it. No. But of course we could do something about it. When Don Sharon, the chief of staff, last year told a press conference, it was impossible to crush the intifada. I thought to myself, what are we crazy? It's impossible to crush the intifada. For this, the chief of staff gets paid to tell the world we can't beat them. It's impossible. You let me be the chief of staff for 2 days and there's no intifada. First of all, you close the territory to the news media. No news media. No news media. Vicious, hostile, Jew baiters. No news media. And then you turn to the soldiers and say, oh, okay, Rabbi, this kudah order. You have 48 hours, whatever you want to do. But I don't want to see any intifada. And there will be no intifada. Our problem is that we don't understand ours. We live here in Bucks County. In Bucks County, everybody's nice. Everybody's nice, and everybody else is also nice. There's a problem. Okay, can you work it out? That's how you do it. Bucks County, Peoria, wherever. Nice country. Well, maybe you can do it in Peoria. But the Middle East is not the Middle West. The Arabs are different. It's a different mentality, a different mindset, a different culture, different views. To them, it's not coffee and cake. They're not interested in coffee and cake. They understand one thing only, and that is strength or weakness. That's what they understand. And if you're strong, they'll hate you, but they'll be afraid of you. If you're weak, come on, finish. You're finished. Let no one ever tell me to change my image, to become a little more modern, a little more flexible. Never. I've worked too long and too hard on this image. When I walk with the top people from Shorosh Shem, the Master's Gate, through the Arab Shuk, it's like the parting of the Red Sea. We Jews have an incredibly terrible problem. For 2,000 years, we have wanted, we have needed to be loved. I don't want anybody's love. I'm sick of being loved unto death. Because that's when they love Jews. After every Holocaust, some do. They love Jews. They give us Requiem Masses. And Jimmy Carter gives us a Holocaust commission, or he can shove his commission, keep it. I don't want Holocaust. I'm sick of Kaddish. I'm sick of your sight. I'm sick of being loved. I don't want love. I want respect. And you don't get respect until you have self-respect, and that's the way it is going to be. There's something wrong with us. We've been losers for so long, we don't know how to win. We feel uncomfortable, guilty about winning. We feel guilty about winning. We've died for so long, we're not used to living. Well, let me tell you something. It is better to be a winner than to be a loser. It is a pleasure fun to be a winner. It is a pleasure to see the UN condemn a strong Israel rather than praise a dead one. And I get tremendous numbness listening to the world scream about how Israel is bad. Oh, it is such a pleasure. It is such a pleasure, because I remember all the years when Jews were so good. Oh, were we good? We were good after the Crusades, and after the Inquisition, and after the pogrom, and after the Auschwitz. Jews are always good. Not too far from the city is a city called Newark. And Newark, New Jersey. Till about, 25, 30 years ago, had about 30 to 40,000 Jews living there. It also had a nice community Italian. Today, it still has a nice community Italian, but no Jews. You know why? Because the Jews had a good image, and that was bad. The Italians had a terrible image, and that was good. There's no one touched that, and no one touched that. I would rather have a state of Israel that is hated by the whole world than one that goes under, and that is loved by him. I would rather a state of Israel that is loved, that is hated, than an Auschwitz that is loved. And know that, and remember that, and don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. The Intifada did not begin 3 years ago. It began 70 years ago in 1920 when in Jerusalem, Arabs rose up and massacred Jews in 1920. In 1929, Hebron, 67 Jews were murdered in one day, men, women, and children. In 1936, and his Intifada began to last for 3 years, in which 510 Jews died, killed, massacred, murdered. What did they want in 1920? If you listen to Isaac King and the New Agenda and Peace Now, they'll tell you, you know why they were murdering Jews in 1920? Because we didn't give back the lands in 1967. Oh, to be as clever as Cain. How many Cains killed fellow Jews, killed their fellow Abels? How many Cains? I never understood why in Hebron in 1929 what was bothering the Arabs. Why he killed 67 Jews in 1929. I never understood until Peace Now explained it to me, because they're clever. I didn't realize that it was the occupied lands in 1967 that upset the Arabs in 1929. I never realized. What a pleasure it must have been in 1966, when the Arabs had everything that they say now, if we don't get that back, then there's not going to be peace. Don't get busy. We owe them nothing. They owe us everything. In 1947, they could have had their Palestine. They could have had their Palestine in 1947 when the UN proposed a partition plan which would have created two states, one a Jewish state and one an Arab state which might have been called Palestine. And they said no, and they went to war, and 6,000 Jews died in that war as they began. They could have had not only Judea and Samaria, but under the UN plan, they were given the Western Galilee. They were given such cities as Naria and Akra and Jaffa and Ramla and Luz and what is now Ashkelon and Ashdod and Beersheba. They could have had all of that, but they said no. What did they think? What was bothering Arabs in 1947? What bothering Arabs in 1947 is what bothered them in 1967, in 1987, and what will bother them in 1997. They don't want a Jewish state of any size, of any shape, of any form, and that's the issue. Guilt? I feel guilty for living, not me, not I. I was born in Brooklyn, and I grew up in the streets. And I learned the lesson. If you start something and you lose, you lose. The Arabs started forward, and they lost. And now they want peace that we should give up a plan. Winners win, and losers, especially losers who start wars, lose. And that's the way it is going to be. Not 1 centimeter will they ever get of our land. I listened to the Cain Rabbi matters. Must be nice making that kind of money. These are the kind of people that speak to you about moderate Arabs. This is the newest concept, the moderate Arabs. On a more sophisticated level, there are also moderate terrorists. Who presumably murder Jews moderately. You speak to them and they say, King Hussein of Georgia is a moderate. I don't know why he's a moderate. He's short. In 1967, King King Hussein had everything that every day he says the Arabs must have unless we want war. He had Judea, he had Samaria, he had Jerusalem, and he went to war. And wouldn't that have to be more than a sophomore logic major at Temple to realize that if someone has East Jerusalem and he goes to war, maybe because he wanted West Jews. Perhaps so. And West Tel Aviv. And West Haifa. There are no modern Arabs. There are two kinds of Arabs, clever ones and stupid ones. The stupid ones say what they mean. The clever ones mean it, but don't say it. But they've learned a classic lesson taught them by the double-play combination here. Cain to Magnum to Sam. What is the lesson? That if you say nice things about Jews, they'll throw money at you or the sign up. That's what they learned. In our minds, they're waiting for that day that they call Yitbach al-Yahud, slaughter the Jews. They wait for that day eagerly. And they know that they cannot defeat the Jewish people without Jews. You think that our side is dangerous to us? Some people, not dangerous. He's nothing. He's a half-shaven, half-bearded nut. The danger to us is such Jews who are ready to condemn Israel at the drop of a yarmulke if they would wear it. That's the problem. These people suffer from an advanced case of Jewish AIDS. It's called guilt. They suffer from enormous guilt. And Jews, no one can suffer from guilt like Jews. We have only to a fine art. We feel guilty about everything, whether we did it, we didn't, or we feel guilty. In Lebanon, in 1982, Christian Arabs massacred Muslim Arabs. Guess who formed a commission to investigate Jews? Do you think that the Christian Arabs formed a commission to investigate why they massacred Muslim Arabs? Of course not. Of course not. It's only Jews with this incredible guilt. The latest commission was to investigate the police after the incident at Temple Mount. Do you know what happened? Do you realize the shame, the degradation? In our capital city, for 15 minutes, Arabs threw rocks and building blocks down on the Jews, but it was a miracle that no one was killed. It was a miracle. For 50 minutes, they threw it with no response from the police and the soldiers. My brother lived in the old city, so that he was staying next to a soldier who was pleading with his commanding officer over his walkie-talkie. He said, "Pay me home. Give me orders. Give me orders. What should I do?" And no one gave orders. No one knew what to say. They were finally, when they attacked the police station and burned it down, and drunk with victory, they started to attack soldiers. Nothing to do with this. Had I been the Prime Minister at the beginning of the Intifada, not one Arab would have ever been killed. You know why? Because not one Arab would have been there. So what is more moral? If we're speaking about moral, the three blind moralists. If we're speaking about being moral, what is more moral? To shoot 3 of them every single day? To break their bones? Or to move them out of the country and let them live happily with their own people? one or two or three would have said. But we have to learn to coexist. There must be coexistence between Jews and Arabs. Of course, certainly. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for a coexistence between Arabs and Arabs. In Lebanon, it is such a pleasure. Yeah, I tell you, it is such a pleasure seeing how Arabs live together. It's just, I'm deeply moved. Sunni Muslims, Shia, Druze, Christians, Hamal, Hezbollah, everybody chose everybody else. But of course, we will live together with them because we have so much in common. No, there was no possibility to coexist with them. The day after the Temple Mount incident, the Arabs of Israel rose up in an intifada. Jews could not drive anywhere in Israel. Every car was stoned. Forests were burned down. Israelis. So we sit in our insanity. And we watch as the Arabs grow and grow and grow. And why they grow? Because in great measure, we pay them for every baby born. From Bitur Leumi, from National Insurance. Every baby is born, and every month, parents get a check until the child is 18. There's a tremendous article, which is here in the papers, about a Bedouin, an Israeli Bedouin. Father of 48 children, 6 wives. 48 children. Every month, it goes to Beersheba, picks up 48 checks and laughs all the way home. What normal people subsidizes its own suicide? The public can only have bullets. It's Arab babies. The Galilee today has a majority of Arabs. The Mishulash, the Triangle, Wadi Ara, has today a majority of Arabs. Where is Wadi Ara? Where is the Mishulash? It's 10 kilometers from the sea. Right behind such Jewish cities as Petah Tikva, and Kfar and Ra'anana, and Herzliya, and Netanya, such Arab towns, what town? Cities. Taifa, Mefachim, Dira, Jat, Kfar Qasim, 250,000 Israeli Arabs sitting within 6 miles of the sea. We are normal? We are normal? I don't hate Arabs, I love Jews. And believe me, that's not easy. And what the Arabs are, they have 22 countries of their own. And God bless them all. I don't have 22 countries. And I don't want 22 countries, and I don't even want 2 countries. But my one country is mine and not theirs, and that must be shouted again and again and again. I don't want to keep the land because of military reasons. Those are all good reasons. That's not my reason. There's only one good reason to keep that land and not give up anything. And that reason is because it belongs to us. That's the reason. Every time I listen to Rabbi speaking both languages at the same time. He will get up and he will say, we will keep Jaffa, and they will keep Shechem, and we will keep this, and they will keep Hebron, and we will compromise. I sometimes feel jealous and envious of Kansas farmers. A farmer from Kansas goes out to the field at 4 a.m. And farming Kansas. field at 4 a.m. and he sees somebody building a house on his field. Now, what do you think he does? You think he says, in his best Cambridge accent, "Good morning, sir. I realize it's my field, but why can't you take care of it?" Or does he take his shotgun and say, "You have about 4 seconds to get off this land"? Does Kansas farmers know what land is? And we who were driven from our country for 1,800 years, we forgot what the meaning of our land is. And so, like some handler, we take care of it, I'll take care of it. If we have no right to Hebron, we have no right to Tel Aviv. If we have no right to Hebron, in which Abraham lived 4,000 years ago, we have no right to a Tel Aviv, which was built 90 years ago, and in which Abraham never walked on Dizengoff Street. If we have no right to Shechem, we have no right to Caesarea, because Jacob never played golf at the Dam Hotel in Caesarea. But Jacob lived in Shechem, which the Arabs called Nablus. No. So you have, what do you put Nablus? He said, well, that's the Arab name. Let me tell you about Nablus, so that we can see the Arab roots of the country. The name of the city is Shechem in the Bible. Ask any doctor. When the Romans drove the Jews out 1,900 years ago, they changed the name of the city from Shechem to Nablus, as in Naples. But Arabs have trouble pronouncing a P. So Nablus became Nablus. And if anything, let's go back to the Italians. There are no Arab roots there. Hebron is where Abraham is buried, and Sarah is buried, and Isaac is buried, and Rebekah is buried, and Jacob is buried, and Leah is buried. Muhammad is not buried there. That's our land. And we've come back to it through God's miracle. What the 6-day war that was, what a war that was. We saw God, we touched God. Who cannot believe that? Who was in 6 days? Nobody wins the war in 6 days. God made the land in 6 days. And we took it in 6 days. And on the 7th, we both rested. You think that's that? Instead, I remember one specific case. Kalkilia is an Arab village right near Karsal. It borders on Karsal. And Kalkilia was for years a vicious nest of Arab terrorists. And Jews always waited. When will that day come when we take care of it? And then the 6-day war. And the army crossed the border, and Kalkilia fled. There were 7,000 Arabs at the time, and they fled, men, women, children, cats, dogs, and goats, because they knew what they deserved. And they fled to the Jordan River. And Moshe Dayan, the Minister of Defense, sent the Kahane, the paratroopers, to bring them back. And he said, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, Shemishu Yomar, that someone should say, Sheshot God Slitin, that there's another way of refugees. God forbid that the world should say that. So they brought them back. Kalkilia today has over 25,000 Arabs. From Kalkilia the murderers of the Moses family. The wife, a pregnant wife, driving in her car with 2 children. A firebomb was thrown in by Aaron's phone back to the Arab town. She died. Her present baby died. And a 5-year-old son died. Tala. Rabbi, the boy lives in a lone Meir. I'll tell you, all the way there, they took this 8-year-old boy and bashed his face in so that he wasn't recognizable. And you never heard of it, because when those things happened, these 3 blind moralists never ever raised their voices in protest. Never ever said to you, let us rise in protest against what Aaron did to an 8-year-old child and a pregnant mother. But when Sodom and Shapir took place, when Christian Arabs murdered Muslim Arabs, how many temples made on Yom Kippur their Congress stand and rise and beat their breasts for the poor murdered Arabs? Don't let anyone ever say, but how can we go to the mountain? How will we do it? How will we do it? On pagan buses, that's how we'll do it. Can you imagine on the day that the Arabs would ever hear on the radio that the new Prime Minister is Kahane, half of them will be across the Jordan River in Kahane. Last August, 2 young Jews were murdered as they were hitchhiking in Rabbi, in Yerushalayim. 16-year-old boy and a 17-year-old boy. They were stayed over 100 times each. The next day, in the Jordanian newspaper, I was writing, they carried this cartoon. It shows the 2 youngsters impaled on a sword. But these words, these letters, make up the Arabic name Al-Quds, which is the Arabic name for Jerusalem. That's how they celebrated the murder of two youngsters. This is the enemy. That's what we have to face. Brutal, cruel, vicious. Do you know what they would do to us if they could? God purchase us. Ask Sephardic Jews who live with Arabs about Arabs. Ask them. They know what Arabs are. 800,000 of them fled Arab countries in 1948, 49, and 50. They know what Arabs are. They fled the Arab countries. They never did want to live with them. It's not an accident that so much of my support comes from Sephardic Jews. They're normal. They're normal. They live with them. They know them. When my son was in the army in Lebanon in 82, he was in the army. He told me a story that I had already heard before. In artillery, which he's in, they received orders that if the infantry was attacking an Arab village in which there was a PLO post, the artillery was not allowed to give fire cover to the infantry lest they kill civilians. Do you know how many Jewish soldiers died because they had to go in under sniper fire? Do you know what murder is? That's murder. enough about Arabs. And that's being moral. All the Arabs of Lebanon are not worth the life of one Jewish soldier to me. How easy it is to sit in Pennsylvania and tell us we have to compromise. Of course, we have to compromise. And if the gamble fails, who pays for it? Pennsylvania? We pay for it. Don't be so good to us. Don't be so moral on my back. The rabbis tell us what is really moral. They speak of two kinds of mercy. Rahmanut, mercy. And of course we Jews are merciful. We Jews are known as Rahmanim b'nei Rahmanim. Merciful, the children of mercy. But then there's another kind of mercy that the rabbis call Rahmanut shel Tipshim, the mercy of fools. The mercy of fools. You know what the mercy of fools is? I can think of no better example than the night that Adolf Eichmann was hanged at Roman prison. And outside the prison stood Martin Buber, the intellectual par excellence, who was the guru of such moralism. He stood with 9 other Bubers protesting the hanging of Eichmann. You don't take a life. You don't take a life. I wanted badly to debate any of these people or all of them together, because they would not know a Jewish concept that they tripped over. The greatest mazel that these people have is that the congregation knows less about Judaism than they do. Judaism, the concept is quite clear. Kodam lachem al hazar, sofo liot hazar al rahman. One who has pity on the cruel, one who has mercy on the cruel, is destined to be cruel unto the merciful. You're so good to them? I was in Rumley prison for 9 months on an administrative arrest. Administrative arrest means that there's no trial. And you're not told what the charge is, which I don't mind actually. I'm a bit curious. And I sat with Arab terrorists, including murderers. Some had received 4 life sentences, 5 life sentences, which is frightening. 5 is much worse than 4. And they laughed at us. They laughed at us. This is 1980. They laughed and they said, someday when we kidnap some of your soldiers, we'll go free. And they did. In 1985, we freed 1,150 of them, including 600 murderers. The 6 soldiers. I don't know what to say. Sometimes I'm convinced that I live in an insane asylum. And now I watch a Gulf War. And I see the tragedy that is growing and building for Israel. All the Jews will say, but if we do what Kahane says, the whole world will be against us. I have news for you. The whole world is against us. we did what I want, our world would be against us, and we benefit from it. How many opportunities we had when George Bush, the strong advocate of law and order, invaded Canada. If on that day we would have thrown out the 100,000 actors, what would George Bush have done? On the day that Iraq invaded Kuwait and the whole world was up in arms, had Israel done the normal thing and bombed Iraq and bombed the nuclear plant and the chemical plant, what was the world have said? When Beth bombed the nuclear plant, the whole world, for a month, for a whole month, the world criticized it. I tell you, it was frightening. I couldn't sleep for a month. And then the month passed. And the criticism died down. And there was no nuclear plant. That's the lesson of the world. Don't be afraid of. They hate us anyhow. What are we afraid of? What do you think? Israel is Minsk or Pinsk? Israel isn't some little shtetl with some birds, some noblemen. Every time that George Bush listens to a Jewish leader say, but we need America, that's an invitation to him to pressure Israel. Of course, America will always be Israel's ally. America always stands by its allies. But Houston, Cuba, tell you, Marcos, the Philippines, of course, constantly, and all the rest. The Shah of Iran, I tell you, we stood by him. There are no allies in this war, there are only interests. And the Jew has to learn one thing. We have to do what is best for ourselves. How many times have the Jews in this country done for everybody else? I spoke last Monday at Madison, at the campus in Madison. It's a crazy campus. It's a toss-up, which is crazy, Berkeley or Madison. Naturally, they're more Jewish campus. 2 weeks earlier, Sophie Carmichael, who is now named some African name, Stoll, anti-Zionists, anti-Jews, and if a white man would have given that kind of speech, the ADL would have been ADL. That's not the point. I remember Stokely in the 60s when he used to go to fundraising parties in Great Neck, New York, where liberal Jews, guilt-ridden Jews, masochists, would bend over and say, beat me again, and raise money for him. Jews did, we raised money for blacks and for Puerto Ricans and for lettuce and grapes, but you name it and we raised money. We went against our best interests. I don't expect the NAACP to raise money for Israel. I don't expect it. And if they did, they would be going against their choice. And I don't expect Jews to be raising money except for church. We stand alone today, and it will get worse and worse. And don't think that we can escape it by giving in. No. The Arabs don't want the 1967 territories. The minute they would have that, the next question is, what about the 1947 territories? And what about the refugees who fled in 1948? We want them back to Jaffa and to Haifa and to Nazareth and to Sachlin and everything else. No. Don't be afraid of being alone. And don't be afraid of losing American money. First of all, I don't know if it was American money. Who knows? I don't know what the country will do. I don't know. And nobody knows. Nobody knows. But more than I don't want American economic aid. It is killing us. It is destroying us. We become some kind of an economic junkie, getting his annual fix. And we're afraid. If we don't get it, what will happen? So we give in to America on every single issue. I don't want U.S. economic aid. I want Israel to turn into a free enterprise, private capital country. I'm not a schnorrer. Israel isn't a state. It's a shul. You walk out with a pushkin. American aid, Germany operates it. The state isn't a shul. The state is a state. It stands on its own feet. I know many wealthy Jews, many good Jews, wealthy Jews, who would love to invest in Israel, not in Singapore, but not in Taiwan. But in Singapore, they welcome you. In Israel, you go through the separate service of Jewish health. You want to open a store in this city? What do? You find a store, an empty store, and you open a store somewhere. In Israel, it's an adventure. A rishayah, you get a permit, and then you shoe, and the license to get the permit to get the shoe, and all the time you're already paying taxes. I want to do away with socialism, bureaucracy, this, that, root. Let's have private enterprise. We Jews have made every country in which we've lived rich except Israel. Give Jews a chance to make money, and will they make money? For everybody. That's what I want. A person wants to come to Israel to invest, come right in, 20 years, no tax. Give us a factory, give us jobs, produce, exports, hard currency. That's what I want. I don't want to throw the Arabs into the sea concept, they're just the bureaucrats. That's not true. I wouldn't like it. So what I do want is a state in which people, I know, tens of thousands of people who left Israel and are now living here, who would go back tomorrow morning if they could make a living there normal. And that's what's going to be. That's what's going to be. Please God. We would bring in billions every single year of private capital with those springs attached. You talk to America like a partner, not like a shtetl beggar. You tell America, we are partners. We don't want economic aid. You'll pay for what we give. How much is the Haifa Naval Base worth to the 6th Fleet? To use every time it wants to, right now, free of charge. Well, that's over. That's finished. How much would it cost you in the Philippines? $1 billion? No, $1 billion. That's what it costs you. The U.S. Armed Forces have used the Negev now for over 10 years as a storage area for hundreds of millions of dollars worth of weapons and supplies, just in case of something like what happened in the Gulf. Where else could they have kept them? In Egypt? It was stolen. To their don't tell us how many favors you're doing for us. How much is it worth when we test the F-16 in real combat? The U.S. Air Force hasn't had real combat now in 17 years. We train we fly their planes, and we tell them what is wrong with it. How much is that worth to America? Whatever it's worth, pay it. How much is it worth when we test out the U.S. anti-missile system in Lebanon and knock out 82 Syrian planes and tell them what was wrong with it and how we fixed it? How much is that worth? That's how you talk to America. I don't want aid. I don't want aid. I want to be a partner with you. If we're not worth it, don't give me a penny, and you won't get it. And then you can rely on your newfound ally, Syria. Oman, Morocco, and of course that mighty potent empire, Arabia, Saudi Arabia. That's how you talk. And you have faith in God. I know that sounds a little strange to you, but I really faith in God. Think what happened in 1948 and understand what the state of Israel really is. In March of 1948, the United States ambassador to the UN, Warren Austin, wrote to the General Assembly and announced that America was no longer supporting the UN partition plan for a Jewish state. Instead, America was now calling for a UN trusteeship over the entire country, which meant no Jewish state. That week, Harry Truman imposed an embargo on all weapons to the Middle East, meaning that Israel or the Jews were not getting weapons because the British were giving weapons to the Arabs. That week, George Marshall, Secretary of State, called in the man who would become the first Foreign Minister of Israel, Moshe Sharef. And he told Sharef, tell Ben-Gurion not to declare a state in May, because you can't survive. We will not give you weapons, and you don't have bombers, which is true, and no tanks, which was true. You have only 600,000 men, women, and children, which was true. Ben-Gurion, whatever else I think of him, to his everlasting credit, for some incredible reason, said, I don't care. There will be a state. And he declared it. And suddenly someone decided to sell weapons to Israel. And well-known Zionist, Joseph Stalin. Now, if you were Jewish and Greek, what are the odds on that happening? There is a God. The state of Israel is God's hand. And of course you need a strong arm. Now, I'm a great believer in strong arm. But if you don't have an income, strong armies don't help. And if you only got an income, that doesn't help either. The Jewish way is faith in God and that tough army. That's the Jewish way. With a doctor. After all, I am a rabbi, really a rabbi. It's a doctor which I always finish up with because it's such a good one. It's such an important one for Jews to listen to and know, never to forget. The rabbi tells us in the Talmud that when God wants to give the Torah at Mount Sinai, the Torah, period, all the mountains, the mighty, the tall ones, the aloft, it was the highest one, all came rushing to him and said, each one said, give me the iron, give me the iron, I want the iron. On my lofty peak. And God said, no. I have a small mountain, it's called Sinai. And I'm going to give it on a small mountain. Because I want to teach the Jews a lesson that they should be humble. That the Jewish lesson to be humble. You like that, right? Now, the Rebbe was a great scholar, and also smart. So the Rebbe asked a very obvious question, which I'm sure that everyone in this room who is smart has already asked himself or herself. He asked, if God wanted to teach the Jews to be humble, why did he give it on a small mountain? Why did he give it in a valley? That's about the lowest that you can be. That's about the humblest that one can be. A valley. Good question, right? Honest, good question. To get a better answer. He says because God wanted to teach the Jews, 1, be humble. 2, don't be too humble. Jews are not mountains. Nobody steps on us. We are mountains. We're not arrogant mountains, but we are mountains. Don't let anyone frighten you. Don't let anyone step upon us. The state of Israel is God's hand, and we see the Messiah with our very, very eyes coming. No fear. Don't worry about George Bush. Worry about the burning bush. Please God, in 2 years, we are going to run again for the Knesset. Different names, different... Let me tell you, the numbers of seats that we are going to get, please God, will make it impossible for any national government to be formed without us. And what the government does. Praising God and the powerful Jewish army. That will bring the Messiah speedily happy in our days. Amen. Gentlemen, the applause are not enough. We have so many problems in the state of Israel. How long do we do nothing while Jews are being stoned in the state of Israel? How long can we do nothing while Jews in Israel fear for their lives in their own country? How long can we do nothing while American Jews are afraid to go to Israel? How can we be silent while the heart of Israel is being called occupied territories? How can we be silent while Arabs control our Temple Mount and stone us while we pray at our most holy site, the Hotel, the Western Wall? How can we be silent and do nothing while every Jewish child in Israel has a gas mask hanging in his bedroom? Think about this for a moment. A gas mask hanging in every Jewish child's bedroom. After 2,000 years of struggling to establish our own country again in the land of Israel, is this what we fought for? Jewish children needing gas masks? Now we have an answer. The answer is we need Rabbi Kahane as Prime Minister of the State of Israel. Prime Minister, there would be no need for gas masks in Israel. The chemical weapon plants in Iraq would have been bombed and would have been destroyed. If Rabbi There will be no stone throwing in Israel. Jews will be safe in every part of Israel. American Jews will come to Israel. When Rabbi Kahane becomes Prime Minister, the whole world will know beyond a shadow of a doubt. Judea, Samaria, and Gaza is ours now, and it's ours forever. Years ago, Rabbi Kahane was the first one to start the fight to free Soviet Jews. Today, he is leading the battle to make greater Israel free for all Jews. Rabbi Kahane is a man who teaches us Jewish strength, not weakness. Rabbi Kahane is the man who teaches us Jewish pride, not guilt. We now have a chance to make Israel stronger than ever. Today, we have the opportunity to make Rabbi Kahane Prime Minister. But this takes money. Today, we have it in our hands. Yes, right in our very own hands to bring this goal to fulfillment. We are asking each and every one of you to give whatever you can. Please make the checks payable to COP, K-A-C-H. Our people in the blue T-shirts will be in the aisles to collect your contributions now.
Why can't he raise enough money in Israel?
I'd like to quote from the Midrash now. If you keep silent now, if you refrain from helping on behalf of your brothers, then woe to you on the day of judgment, for you had the opportunity to act but did not.
If there's any questions from the audience, we'd be glad to entertain them at this point. I think the rabbi wants to respond to the gentleman that said, why can't he raise enough money in Israel, Rabbi?
For the same reason that the UJA raises the money here and not in Israel.
Any more questions for Rabbi Kahane? This gentleman over here in the lavender shirt, please, sir.
Yeah, Rabbi Kahane, you were in a prison in Israel. The men with you were Arab terrorists, and you gave us some idea what you thought of them. You were in a federal prison in Lower Manhattan, and the men with you were Americans and presumably Christians. Tell us something about what you thought about them.
What's the name? A criminal is a criminal. There were all kinds of criminals. There were white-collar criminals, blue-collar criminals.
They were terrorists, they were just criminals.
You're right. So, having said that, that's about all that has to be said.
Gentleman here in the dark blue suit, your question, sir.
Rabbi Kahane, if thousands of rocks and bricks and cinder blocks and knives and bottles in this country were thrown at people, everyone who threw a rock would be arrested for attempted murder, and the prosecutor would collect all the rocks, all the bottles, and all the knives, would lay them out and invite the press in a press conference to show what did the damage. What has Israel done along those lines?
I think there's a tremendous difference. You have a biased and hostile press when it comes to Israel. Last year, or 2 years ago, on the Hajj, on the pilgrimage to Mecca, Arabian forces, security forces, shot and killed thousands of Arabians. Did the UN come and did anybody protest the massacre on the Muslim holy site of the Quds? No. 2 years ago, in the Golden Temple of the Sikhs in India, the Indian army stormed a temple, the Sikh temple. Killed hundreds of people. Anybody protest? No. So, don't sit and kvetch. Don't sit and complain that the word is not clear. Both us go. Good morning. I don't sit and kvetch. I do what we have to do. And then there's no problem. I don't care if CNN is anti-Israel. CNN will have to be anti-Israel from outside of Israel.
But I mean in Israel. Are they showing
There is
the rocks?
nothing that they can do which will make the press less honest. Nothing. Nothing. You're dealing with people that simply are there with a bias, and I don't blame Israel for that. I don't blame Israel for that. I blame Israel for allowing them to be terrorists. It's a different story. But nothing that Israel will ever do will ever convince them to be fair. They have been unfair, not just now, for decades upon decades. So don't worry about it. We can throw the stone. If we show them the rock, the stone, that's not relevant. I know them all. When I hold press conferences with them and the foreign press conferences, it's as if it's a motley gang that was gathered together in Damascus, Syria. Whether it's in the Washington Post, or the New York Times, or from NBC, or Peter Jennings, and so on. Don't sit and worry about that. That is not what will destroy Israel. Only Jews can harm Israel. Only Jews can harm Israel. And no Jews can save Israel.
Gentleman over here at the sweatsuit. So we stand up, please.
Rabbi, why didn't the Israeli government support Jonathan Pollard here?
Why doesn't it?
Why didn't the Israeli government support Jonathan Pollard?
Why doesn't it? The same reason that he didn't allow him into the embassy in Washington when he sought help and sanctuary. An embarrassment. Now, I don't say that it's right. I think that that's terrible. I think he is a Jewish hero. That's another thing that will change, please God, when we have now. Believe me, we owe him a great deal, and
I went to Israel this year, and I'm planning on going back. You haven't mentioned the fact that I think it's safe to go back. Yes, don't you think so?
I do.
Well, I'm asking about us Americans.
The gentleman said that he intends to go back to Israel. He was there last year. He wants the rabbi to tell you people how safe it is.
I'll go even better. I'll go one better on that. We have an opportunity now to have a tour with me for $800. Fare, back and forth, and 6 days at a 5-star hotel. For $800. And anyone who wants to know more about it, you can take down this number as you're writing checks. 533-6428. That's 533. That's here in Philadelphia. 533-6428. Once more, 533-6428. And not only will you go there really, really cheap to us, it is very, very safe, especially when you're with us. We will take you on a tour of the territory and bring you to every place that is not safe, and it will be better than downtown Philly. Don't forget that. The sooner you call, the sooner we can put the thing together. It'll be a tremendous flight. You'll be met at the airport by top people waiting. It'll be a tremendous thing. A tremendous thing.
Rabbi Kahane,
It should be. And while he's talking, you write checks.
Rabbi Kahane?
Yes.
I was supposed to return from Israel 8 o'clock this morning. They canceled my trip. The cowards. Canceled it.
My husband left this morning.
One of the tragedies is that of the few tourists that are there today, the majority are not Jews. This is the tragedy. Why do they think it's not? Why do they think it's safe? Why aren't they? What is wrong with them? You sign up think that President Bush, at the beginning of this crisis, had the overwhelming support of almost every single American. With every week that passes, he loses more and more. Until today, I'm not sure whether he has the support of most people. What he should have done and what he should do now is stop wasting time bringing 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 soldiers, bomb them off the face of the earth. Iraq is a fourth-rate power, which for 8 years couldn't defeat Iran, which is a sixth-rate power. What is wrong with it? That's what they should do. What they will do, I don't know. And I am very, very nervous. And by the way, I want you to know that the gathering together of this multinational force in George Bush's country of a new world order, the minute the Gulf crisis is over, we are next on the agenda. The Arabs will not allow George Bush to forget that they went to war against an Arab brother, and now it's Israel's turn. So just know that. Don't be obsessed, but we should be careful what we do. We should do what has to be done quickly. And don't sit bound by our American interests. American interests at this moment are no longer ours. You know that. If that's not happening, believe me, I'm not here to make it happen. I'm here to make it think. So all of us. Gentlemen, here.
Rabbi, have you sat down with the pencil and paper and figured out the logistics of moving the entire Arab population out of Israel and the effect this would have on the economy of the country?
Gentlemen is speaking about the logistics of moving all the Arabs out of Israel and what effect it would have on the economy, Rabbi.
In 1945, the Poles and the Czechs expelled 12 million ethnic Germans from their country. From Silesia and the Sudetenland and Danzig and all the rest. 12 million people, 12 million Germans who have lived in those countries for 1,000 years. You know why? You know what they did as a fifth column to bring on Hitler? So the Poles and Czechs moved them out. No called out and said, you know the logistics and the effect on the economy. They knew that they had a fifth column, a cancer there, and they threw them out. 12 million people left in 6 weeks. You know why? Because the Poles had the guns, and the Czechs had the guns, and the Germans didn't, and so they left. I would say that it would take about a week for Meir Kahane to get rid of a million. Now, the effect on the economy. I went into a long discussion of what Israel needs in order to stand on its own feet. And that is, it needs to get rid of the crutches of economic aid. It has got to have a free enterprise system. And it has to bring in private capital. And it can do so, and billions will pour in. And for all the people that are worried about USA, do you know that when Israel gave up the Sinai, they gave up $2 billion worth of oil every year? Do you know what Israel did in its insanity? Not to mention giving up a territory 2.5 times the size of all Israel. Not to mention that moving our troops from 70 miles from Cairo to their troops 60 miles from Tel Aviv. So we first give up this huge amount of property that has oil, gas, tremendous resources. And then we say, but we need U.S. aid. You can't have it both ways. Whatever the world.
Quiet, sir, please. Sir, sit down, please.
This is not the Knesset. This is not the Knesset. One person here will speak at a time. Now,
Gentleman over here.
I speak.
Sir?
Rabbi, as I understand it, Israel does not have the death penalty for murder.
The gentleman said Israel does not have the death penalty for murder.
Yeah.
Would a death penalty help Israel?
Gentlemen, either sit down,
Please, this is not an Arab conference.
just sit down quietly.
You'll be called on, sir. If you want to come up here and debate the rabbi, you're perfectly willing to come up.
And he will speak over here. The question was, Israel doesn't have the death penalty. And would that help? Would that help? The answer is that Israel has the death penalty, but it is not exercised. Israel doesn't have to pass a law for the death penalty. Israel has the death penalty. But the military force are given orders not to exercise it. That's the problem. Would it help? Of course it would help. Of course it would help. Certainly so. Yeah.
Do we have another question from the floor? And then, Rabbi, there's a gentleman here that would like to enter into a discussion or a debate with you in which I will give him 2 minutes for an opening statement. We'll take one more question from the floor. Donald Zaslow would like to have 2 minutes to make a statement. The rabbi can respond, and we'll give them 5 minutes so that there'll be a discussion here if someone who wants to challenge the rabbi. We'll take one more question.
Trying to bring something out that's in the back of my mind. I'm very, very much concerned that all the aid we're given to the Arabs, Saudi Arabia and all these other Arabs, we're going to be a kapura eagle because all the sophisticated weapons will be left with them if we ever come back. And then we'll be at the mercy of those Arabs again.
The gentleman said that the aid that we are giving to our so-called allies, Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, can come back to haunt the Israelis. Rabbi Kahane, you want to respond to that?
Right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And which is why Israel should not give in to this, to the aid. Israel has kept a very, very low profile on it, feeling that it's not smart to fight the aid to Arabia. It is smart. It's important to fight it because those weapons will be used against Israel. And AIPAC should fight that much more strongly than it is fighting it. And don't worry about whether it plays well in Peoria. The question is whether it plays well in Jerusalem. But you're absolutely right.
We have a gentleman here who would like to debate the rabbi. Not a debate. He wants to make an opening statement on 2 minutes. Not you, sir. This gentleman over here. This gentleman is Darrell Zaslow. Darrell will give you 2 minutes in an opening statement. You've heard what the rabbis have to say. Rabbi will then give you 2 minutes and then 1 minute between the two of you. Go ahead. Darrell Zaslow, ladies and gentlemen. Rabbi, answer the rabbi, please. Stop handing out your card. Everybody.
It's such an honor for me, Rabbi. As part of my 2 minutes, you must promise to sign my copy of your book. That's one of the reasons I came here. I mean that sincerely. I do ask that Rabbi Kahane sign my copy of the book I bought 20 years ago, Never Again. Rabbi Kahane speaks to something in every one of us. I don't believe you can possibly be a Jew at heart and not somehow, when the rabbi is speaking, say right on. That's exactly how I feel.
Rabbi Kahane tells us not to be afraid, and therefore I decided, lawyers like to talk anyway, but I decided to put aside any fear that I may have in a group of what is obviously Rabbi Kahane's strongest supporters, most of them. Put aside my fear and vocalize in a minute and a half my tremendous concern for the bloodshed that is a natural result of Rabbi Kahane's 48 hours set loose without the media in the territories. A friend of mine asked me the other day, or said to me, that somebody was all upset that the Israelis opened up with their guns. They shouldn't have opened up with their guns. And I replied tongue-in-cheek, this is not a publication, it's just between us. I don't think they should have used guns either. I wish they could have taken missiles and blown away the temple, the Temple Mount Mosque. So I feel that way. But I have a concern over the bloodshed that will naturally be the result of Rabbi Kahane's 48 hours without the press in the territories. I hope that we all have that concern. My greatest praise for Rabbi Kahane is when he said to us to daven and to be the kind of Jews that we should be. And I know what he means. That is, be Jews who observe Jewish law and live by it. Be Jews who observe the Sabbath day. Be Jews who pray every day. Jews who seek God's law and God's presence. I felt sorry for Rabbi Kahane when he spoke of his loss of love. And I know in his heart he doesn't exactly mean that. We do have a responsibility to show to the world God's love for all of us. And that is the hardest thing with an enemy.
Darrell, we appreciate your comments. Your question to the rabbi is, you would be concerned about the 48 hours that Rabbi Kahane was the prime minister and he was in the occupied territory without the press. Is that your concern?
This is not billed as one question. You asked for someone to debate about it.
I don't want a legal dissertation on your report on Rabbi Kahane because we'll then go through the entire audience and give everyone an opportunity.
You're right. My 2 minutes are up. I'll step down. In conclusion, I say to you, Rabbi Kahane, you do speak for us. We are happy for your strength. When they're coming to take us away, we'll be glad you were there. But please be sure you do it in a way that God will allow us.
Ain't nobody going to take anybody away there. The IRS would do that, Darrell. Are there any other questions for Rabbi Kahane from the audience? Yes. This gentleman here. Stand up, please.
Rabbi, we have sent over the years much in weapons, much in money and technology, the AWAC planes to Saudi Arabia for their defense. Now we're sending American boys to die. Why can't the Saudis defend themselves with the weapons they have? Why do American boys, and soon my son will be old enough, have to go and die for the Saudis if it comes to that?
With all the weapons we sent them. I have an answer. I want to hear the rabbis. The Saudis have been selling the equipment we've been giving them.
Everyone has always known that they are a second party that is handing over to a third party. And that's why Israel has always fought. Israel has never been worried about those weapons staying in there. It's been worried about moving into Syrian hands, in Iran hands, Iraqi hands originally. So, this is a problem. And this is what we greatly fear, that if this $20 billion package will go through, whether in one state we face it, most of that equipment will end up in the hands of Arab states that are far, far more dangerous. This is a problem.
This gentleman here, I believe, wanted to have 2 minutes to rebut something that the rabbi said. Am I right, sir?
I would really rather, if that happens, everybody's going to have that. I would really rather you ask the question. Next time you want to debate me, we'll arrange the debate. There are many, many people here that want to ask questions. It's not there to them.
All right, sir.
Ask the question.
We'll give you an opportunity. What's your question, sir?
My question is, as an Orthodox rabbi, if you were to become prime minister, wouldn't you, and kick out all the Arabs, wouldn't the next step be to rebuild the third temple? And if so, wouldn't the next step be to run Israel as a halachic Jewish state and abolish democracy?
First of all, let's get one thing clear, sir. I am committed to democracy for all the Jews in Israel, and not for the Arabs. And secondly, if you think that Zionism recognizes the democratic right of Arabs to peacefully become the majority, then you don't know what Zionism is. Zionism did not come into being for a democratic state, but for a Jewish state. And a Jewish state in which there is democracy for all Jews. And that is what I stand for. Of course I would love to have Jews observing Torah. Of course, and that's what I'm aiming at. And that's what I'm running on. And hopefully Jews will get smart again. But if Jews will not want to, if the majority will not want to, then they won't. They'll suffer. We'll all suffer because of that. But I will never impose a minority view on a majority rule. But if I have a majority rule, you better believe that I will pass through a majority democratic process the kinds of laws that I think should be. And that's called democracy. Democracy is not, yes, all laws that I like. Democracy, I lived in Israel under governments that I can't abide. Obeying laws that I think are insane, but I obey it. Because it was passed by the majority. I would expect everybody in Israel to abide by any laws that I pass if I have a majority. If not, they won't be passed. But I am committed to democracy and not a minority rule over a majority effort. And that's clear as I can make it.
This lady here, ma'am.
Please comment on the effect that the Russian Jews have on Israel.
The Russian Jews?
Yes, the
The
tremendous
question that the lady poses for those in the back is, what effect do the Russian Jews have on the nation of Israel, Rabbi?
Say that the Soviet Jews that have come to Israel, this is the great miracle since Israel's founding. I think that we should stand every single day in awe at the fact that suddenly 1 million, perhaps more Jews will be coming to Israel from a country. And they can't stay in Russia because the anti-Semitism there is threatened at any moment to explode into a horror. And so they are rushing out as quickly as possible. Anywhere right now needs Israel. Therefore, we have a tremendous job to make those Soviet Jews, whether it's Meir or in many places. We have a tremendous need with Russian Jews. They remember me. And they remember what the Jewish Defense League did for them when no one else did. The Russian Jews are a tremendous element. Tremendous element. They are clever people, hard-working people,
any kind of work. And here is our opportunity to get rid of Arab labor. Finally. Where is the every time in the paper they write that Kahane is hated, every time I come to a place like this, I know how much love there is out there. So thank you. Israel would now have the most sophisticated, advanced fighter bomber in the entire world. We have everything. We don't have money. But that money can be got. That money can be got. We have to cut these incredible client funds in the United States. Israel has a lot. Come on. We have the talent, we have the training, and we put it at already the greatest plane in the world. If the Egyptian government, the terrorists, have not given in. The Rabbi it's a magnificent creature, and it can still be done. Who's still be So, don't worry about that. Israel is one of the most advanced states in the entire world. Money has been the problem. If we have the money and we will get the money, we don't have to worry about who will give us features and so on and so forth. And secondly, for money, there's a black market in areas, including scientists.
The last time I heard there were 70,000 Israelis living in the territory, right? I want to ask you this question. Are they still building more homes in the territory?
Of course they are.
The Israelis, were all the Soviet Jews coming into the country, were the Soviet Jews moving into Israel proper, and Israelis moving out and going into the territory? How many Jews do you think will be living in the territory in the next 5 years? Because that's the only way you're going to get the much back in God.
Sure. 70,000, 60,000, 80,000. That doesn't say anything. Because 85% of all the people living in what you call the territories live within 5-6 kilometers of Jerusalem. Or across up. It's only about 10,000, 15,000 Israelis who really live deep in the territory. So, having 25,000 people living in the territories around Jerusalem doesn't say very much about holding on to territory. It talks about holding on to a 5-kilometer circle around Jerusalem. But what we need is to put in tens of thousands of Jews deep into Samaria. Judea. That is not being done. That will not be done until we annex those territories. As long as they're occupied, Jews will hesitate to go there. I don't want to be occupied. If I thought it was occupied, I would say get out. I hope that we will have next time, we've got an ice more. And when you next, you take it just wherever you want. And that's what I hope we'll be happy within the next 5 years.